This is the confession of how a huge, messy fight with my husband led me to the dirtiest, most humanly confusing night of my life, all over a ruined cake. It was a cold, rainy Friday night in our little bungalow in Seattle. The fight with Liam, my husband, was about money, about his crushing student debt, and mostly about the fact that he just stopped looking at me. We were two ships, passing in the dark, and tonight, the ships collided. "You don't even try anymore, Liam," I screamed, my voice raw and messy with frustration. "Oh, and you're perfect, Clara," he fired back, pointing at the kitchen counter. "You can't even bake a simple anniversary cake without burning the top and making the icing taste like toothpaste." The cake. That stupid, lopsided, slightly burnt cake was supposed to be the symbol of our 5-year anniversary. Now it was just proof of our failing marriage. Liam grabbed his keys, yelled that he needed air, and slammed the door so hard a framed picture on the wall rattled. I stood there, crying hot, ugly tears, when the back door opened and Ben walked in. Ben, Liam's best friend since grade school. He was staying with us for a week while his apartment was renovated. Ben was everything Liam was not right now. Calm, quiet, and he always gave me that kind look, the one that made me feel seen, even when I was a total wreck. He stopped, seeing the shattered cake, the tears on my face, and the chaos in the kitchen. Liam went out. I choked out, wiping my face messily. Ben just nodded, his eyes sad. "Yeah." He called me, said he was going to walk to the docks. This was the moral grenade, the raw, silent tension between us. Here was the man who always saw me, alone in the mess of the kitchen, with the husband who had just walked out. "I can't look at that cake," I confessed, pointing at the burnt disaster. "It's everything wrong with us." Ben didn't try to fix the marriage, or even talk about Liam. He just grabbed a bag of flour and a bowl. "We're baking a new one, Clara," he said, his voice low and firm. "We're making a perfect one, right now." The kitchen became our shamelessly guilty secret space. We didn't talk about Liam, or the fight, or the fact that it was nearly 11 p.m. We just focused on the meticulous, messy work of mixing the ingredients. Ben was right there beside me, silent, but his proximity was intense. We were elbow to elbow, measuring sugar, cracking eggs. Every movement was slow, deliberate, and felt magnified. The heat from the oven started to fill the room, making the air thick and heavy, like a dense fog of unspoken things. When we got to the whipping the cream stage, the tension was unbearable. Our hands kept brushing over the bowl, a brief, shocking jolt of raw contact. I was trying to hold a mixing bowl steady, and he was helping, his larger, warmer hands covering mine. That's when I looked up. His eyes were intensely focused on mine, not the bowl. The dirty coded fantasy hung right there, thick as the butter we were creaming. He wasn't Liam. He wasn't demanding or angry. He was just present. "We need to get the temperature right," he whispered, his voice deep. A perfect, innocent-sounding metaphor for what was really happening in the kitchen. I couldn't speak. I felt exposed, guilty, and entirely addicted to the way he was looking at me, the way Liam hadn't in months. The moment escalated when the mixing got too intense. My shirt was dusted with flour, and I laughed a genuine, messy sound I hadn't made all week. Ben reached out, very slowly, and brushed a streak of flour off my collarbone. His fingers lingered for a second too long. The kind look in his eyes deepened into something raw, possessive, and dangerous. The second-to-second storytelling was merciless. The cake wasn't the project anymore. The tension was. "Clara," he finally whispered, his voice fast and urgent. He pulled me closer, using the excuse of reaching for a whisk on a high shelf. I was flush against him, the scent of vanilla and raw desire intoxicating. This was a messy, shamelessly real moment of confession, not with words but with intense, shared physical space. He didn't kiss me. Not yet. Instead, his hand found the small of my back and pressed me firmly against the cool counter, his other hand going up to gently cup my face. He leaned in, and instead of a kiss, he pressed his forehead to mine, a silent, raw, immersive, acknowledgement of the forbidden boundary we were standing on. "I've wanted to fix things between us for a long time," he confessed, using the perfect domestic metaphor for something deeply intimate. I answered by standing on my toes, pulling his neck closer, and finally breaking the silence with a kiss that was everything the fight with Liam wasn't: caring, passionate, and fiercely raw. This was indoor physical intimacy, right in the middle of my own kitchen, surrounded by the remnants of my ruined marriage. It was intense, fast, and driven by months of bottled-up emotional need. We were typing furiously, working at a desperate, messy pace only two people feeling immense guilt could achieve. The dirty coded language flowed into every action, the way he firmly gripped the icing tools my waist, pulling me close the way he demanded I test the temperature of the batter, the raw intensity of our kiss, and the way the messy flour dust covered us both, marking us as co-conspirators in this raw, beautiful sin. The cake was finally in the oven, filling the house with a deceptive smell of home and comfort. But the comfort was a lie. The air was charged, thick with the aftermath of our urgent, raw connection. We sank onto the floor, backs against the cool kitchen cabinets, exhaustion mixing with the dizzying high of the forbidden thrill. I felt the guilt hit me sharp, like a broken glass. This was Liam's best friend. This was my kitchen. Ben reached for my hand, tracing the flour dust on my skin. He looked absolutely human as hell, raw, guilty, but also intensely peaceful. "I'm not sorry," I confessed, the words tasting like guilt and vanilla. "I haven't felt like myself in so long." "Me neither," he admitted, squeezing my hand. "I've watched you. I've seen the way he ignores the little things you do, the way you need someone to just be here." The emotional payoff was the realization that this wasn't just about physical need, it was about emotional validation. Ben hadn't just fixed the cake, he had fixed the crushing loneliness that Liam had created. We sat there for a long time, listening to the rain outside and the rhythmic, comforting heat of the oven, not speaking, just confessing with silence and touch. This felt like love, care, and raw erotic intensity all blended into one messy, shameless sin. When the cake timer went off a harsh final buzzer, I stood up. I helped Ben pull out the beautifully golden brown, perfect cake. Just as we finished setting it on the cooling rack, the front door opened. Liam was home. He walked into the kitchen, smelling like rain and old beer, his face tight with shame and fatigue. He stopped dead when he saw Ben and me, standing close, covered in flour, beside a perfectly baked anniversary cake. He looked at the cake. Then he looked at the raw, undeniable intimacy in the space between Ben and me. He didn't have to ask what happened. He just saw the messy truth. He never mentioned the flour or the look on our faces. He just whispered, "It smells good, Clara." I looked at Liam, then at Ben, my heart a raw, bloody knot of unresolved tension. The cake was perfect. The marriage was shattered. Tell me what you think. Am I wrong for seeking comfort and raw connection from the one person I absolutely should have stayed away from?